she was saying sounded like Joe Biden.
Oh my God, I love her so much.
Give her credit.
A total suck job.
No.
Yes.
I like to come.
Okay with me.
And they end up blowing all of that and dying early because they're drug addicts. Hello everyone, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. We are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and Locals. I'm not going to tell you the date. You know, I was thinking this morning, I always tell people the date. Do people not know what day it is if they don't watch the show? Are people just wandering around out there? They don't have a calendar, they don't have a phone, they have no idea. I think maybe we're going to stop doing the date and we'll just leave people out there to spin around in the universe and figure it out for themselves. But I just have faith that you people know where you are and what you're doing and how you're going to get to where you want to go. And with that in mind, we've got a thick program today. We did the run through this morning, and I just feel like this is just a good old-fashioned Rubin Report program. We're going to just give you a little bit of everything, some serious stuff, some silly stuff, some of the stuff about the child trafficking molester who apparently owned Congress and all of that kind of thing. So let's just dive right in because, as I've said over the last couple of days, whoever and whatever the Epstein files are really about, if anyone did anything illegal, particularly with kids, it should be exposed. You have to protect the victims, of course, and it's just unclear to me what the file actually is, right? Like, is it a file? Does it say this person did this and here's the proof of it, here's the picture? Is it flight logs or whatever? However, Trump has said he wants it released. The Congress voted yesterday in a massive landslide that they will actually release it. I don't even think people really know what they are releasing in the first place. We will see about all of that. I do think something is weird here in that the Democrats could have released this for years when they had power. They didn't. So it seems clear to me the reason they're doing it right now. Like everything ultimately is just about politics. So something weird is brewing. And I think the Democrats, as I pointed out yesterday, might regret some of what they have just voted for. So let's start with Timu Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. He might be in a little bit of trouble now. Listen to this from Newsweek. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has responded after his name allegedly appeared in an email in 2013 sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffries faced fresh scrutiny after House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer pointed to a 2013 email that Epstein received from a political consulting firm promoting a fundraiser linked to the then congressman. The message, which asked recipients to contact the firm if they were interested in attending a fundraising dinner or getting to know Hakeem better, was not authored or sent by Jeffries himself. The document does show evidence of Jeffries meeting Epstein or Epstein donating in response to the solicitation. It's also unclear if Epstein responded to the email. So look, I don't know what Hakeem knew, did not know, or anything else. But I think as they open up this can of worms, they're going to see worms on a lot of people that would have preferred to not have worms all over them because that's a rather unpleasant experience. Here is Caitlin Collins over on CNN asking Hakeem about that 2013 email from Mr. Epstein.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, "We are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved." What's your response? Do you recall that email being sent to Jeffrey Epstein from that team?
Yeah, of course, I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing.
Okay, so in that the theme of this week has been giving the devil his due, I will take his word for that. There's no evidence that he knew the guy. Some firm reached out to Epstein about a fundraiser, but that sort of is the point. Everyone's hands here are going to be dirty. That's what makes this whole thing so weird. Like, if the Democrats are going to open this thing up, I think you're going to find out all sorts of people either knew him, didn't necessarily know what he was doing, but took money from him. It's just, something is just so freaking weird here. I think that is fairly obvious. Check this edit of Timu Obama.
Sunlight, of course, is the best disinfectant. And we've maintained from the very beginning that the American people just deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to the Epstein files.
Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch.
This is a perfect example of two things can be true at the same time. Hakeem, you are right. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And Comer, you are right. There's something stinky around what happened with Hakeem's campaign, 12 years ago, and Epstein. But you guys wanted to open this all up. Well, now some of it is going to shine some light on you. Josh Hawley here explains that the Democrats may regret this strange move.
Hakeem's people asked Epstein to come to dinner and meet him after he was convicted for fooling around with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, this is why the Democrats they're going to regret, I think, ever playing around with this, and they're going to regret embracing transparency, though I'm glad they did. They thought, I think, that the files would never become public. They thought this was all a game. Well, guess what? They're going to get their wish. They are going to become public. The president's going to sign the bill. The president's been right all along on this. He said months ago, make public everything you can that's not classified. Now Congress is finally going to do it. And I think we're going to learn a lot, Jesse. A lot of people suddenly are going to get real reticent to talk about Epstein, whether it's Hakeem Jeffries, whether it's Larry Summers, that Harvard president you mentioned a second ago who worked for Barack Obama. We're going to find out a lot about a lot of folks because you know what else is in this bill that just passed tonight? It's got to be a searchable database so any American can go in and read the files for themselves. That's how it should be. I'm looking forward to seeing what's there.
I think everything that Hawley just said there makes perfect sense. Like, you guys are going to open this up. You're going to find out that these tentacles, and maybe this is what we need to find out. And because sunlight is the best disinfectant, and having a transparent government, to whatever extent a government can be transparent, is good. Of course, they also pointed out there some of the stuff, I mean, even in the bill that was just passed now, some of the stuff that's related to the Epstein files will still be considered classified. So the idea that we're going to all get like this perfect file, I think there's still a lot of people that think there's going to be a file handed out, and here's your file, and it's going to have all of the information. And Bill Clinton went here on this day, and he did this with these three girls, and Bill Gates did this, and Larry Summers did this, and Prince Andrew did this, and here are all the pictures, and here's all the evidence, and that everyone's going to walk away being like, okay, we know who all the bad guys are. Let's send a couple people to jail. And it's like, if you've traced anything with politics over the last 10 years as it relates to any scandal, whether it's Russia, or COVID or anything else, like that's just not how any of this works. If there are, I don't even know what would force something, like what government secret or whatever you want to call it would force something to have to remain classified around this related to national security. But there isn't going to be a moment where everybody, it's interesting because this feels bipartisan right now. Basically everyone in Congress except for one guy voted for it, and Trump wants it to happen. But the idea that they're going to just get something and be like, all right, guys, we got what we needed. Let's move on. If anything, I think this just opens up the conspiracy stuff even more. But now that they have opened it up, a lot of it, as Hawley pointed out, some of these Democrats may regret some of this stuff. Listen to this one. I mean, this one is just like, how do you make this stuff up? From the Daily Wire here. Democrat Virgin Islands delegate Stacey Plaskett claimed on Tuesday that she was texting convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 hearing because he was a constituent and not at the time under federal investigation. It was recently revealed that Plaskett was texting Epstein in real time during a congressional hearing with former Trump attorney turned adversary Michael Cohen. Epstein was texting Plaskett information to seemingly go after Donald Trump. During the hearing, Epstein told Plaskett to question Cohen about the president's former executive assistant. Plaskett notably frets over not understanding the person's name and tells Epstein that she's up next. Minutes after Plaskett brings up the assistant's name as she was told, Epstein texts Plaskett, "Good work." So we'll have more on her in just a second, and was he a constituent of Plaskett? Apparently. But how many other constituents was she texting with and getting information as to the questions she should ask Donald Trump's lawyer in a congressional hearing? So they've opened this thing up, and it's like, what the high hell's going on here? Here's Plaskett saying she did get the text. It's all true, but she didn't know he was under a federal investigation, which is still a moot point. Why were you taking questions from a random constituent during a congressional hearing?
And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me.
Have I said give the devil his due this week? I will give the devil his due. I will accept that you didn't know anything about a federal investigation or anything else. But how was he in your circle so tightly that you felt you should take questions, that he should be basically writing your questions that you are asking of Donald Trump's lawyer? So congratulations, everybody. As I said yesterday, something is rotten in Stinktown, and I think we're going to find out what it is. Of course, the other thing that's going to happen here, and we all know this, is as more of this comes out and is connected to the Democrats, the double standard thing is just going to go through the absolute roof. So here is Jamie Raskin. It's a side by side. Here's Jamie Raskin talking about Trump and Epstein versus talking about Plaskett and Epstein.
One thing he's clearly doing is changing the subject from a different form of crime, which is child sex trafficking, which Jeffrey Epstein was a mastermind of. Donald Trump's name apparently appears throughout the Epstein file.
They've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression?
You know what? I'm not going to curse today. Congressman, let me try to explain something to you. First off, the Trump part, obviously, anything that Trump is involved in, obviously, that's the worst of all. Trump's name was in it many times. We also know that 21 years ago, he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago and that Epstein didn't even like him. Okay, let's put that aside for just a second. What's the charge against her? The charge, I don't know if it's a legal charge. I actually don't know. But if at a congressional hearing, somebody, whether she knew it or not, who's been up to some nefarious stuff, what other, let's put it this way, what other congressperson has their phone readily available to them during a congressional hearing so that they can get tipped off on questions? Does that sound right to you? So come on. Here's Timo Obama saying we shouldn't jump to conclusions about the lady who was taking the questions from Epstein during the congressional hearing.
We believe in transparency. We believe in accountability. We believe in due process. That's the opposite of what is happening on the floor today. And let me be very clear about Stacey Plaskett. She's a woman of great intelligence and a woman of great integrity. And she deserves better than what she's receiving from House Republican extremists.
House Republican. That man is a robot. I am telling you, he is a humanoid robot. There's just no doubt in my mind it eventually will break down on the floor. It will, the whole scandal. That's the real scandal. You want to find out about a scandal, is that he is a humanoid robot. That aside, she is a woman of great intelligence and integrity. Neither one of those are true, but again, why was she, if she's so intelligent, then why did she need a random, quote unquote, random constituent to be texting her the questions to ask the lawyer of Trump, right? And if she has so much integrity, why didn't she come out and say, boy, you know, I do that sort of thing? That would be if you're intelligent, you wouldn't need a hint on the questions. And if you had integrity, you would tell people about the shady shit you're doing. Now we've got Jasmine Crockett. And here she is. And again, all of this is going to turn on them. And it actually, in this case, it happened real time. Watch the video first, and then the follow-up is fantastic.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, okay, honey, I can talk like that too, and I can read a whole bunch of names, and there's all sorts of names that are on the Democrat side and on the Republican side, honey. I can do it, I really can. But it turns out, and here's the kicker to the whole thing, the Jeffrey Epstein who you said donated to Lee Zeldin, well, sorta, you're in trouble now, because it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. This is the tweet from Lee Zeldin. Yes, Crockett, a physician named Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who was a totally different person than the other Jeffrey Epstein, donated to a prior campaign of mine. No freaking relation, you genius. I sort of just want to play that video again of her because I like when I can do that accent and I don't even know what it is. Morgan and Morgan, then we'll have more on the new fight between Donald Trump and his one-time supporter, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hee-haw! If you've ever been seriously hurt in an accident, your injury could actually be worth millions, and most people have no idea. Insurance companies love to lowball claims offering way less than what you deserve. That's why there's Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys across 50 states. They've been fighting for people for more than 30 years, and they don't settle for lowball offers. Just recently, they won $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia, and $6.8 million in New York, all way above what insurance companies offered. And the best part, it's completely free unless you win. No upfront costs, no hidden fees. It takes only a couple minutes to see if you have a case. Did you know you can start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just one click? It's super easy. Just go to forthepeople.com/Rubin or click the link in the description and pin comment. Maybe I'm just gonna do the show in this whole accent. People would like that because I got paper with names and I can read. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was one of Trump's biggest backers over the last couple of years, who I would say has been, if you think politics is toxic, she's been one of the prime movers of the toxicity of politics. And now she's turning against Trump and she's getting sort of lavish praise from CNN and The View and everything else, which that just tells you if those guys start liking you and you were somewhere on the right, then you might want to look in the mirror and think about what you're doing. Anyway, she has been attacking Trump for not releasing the files, which is exactly what he has now said he is going to do. But take a look.
It should have been the easiest thing for the President of the United States to release all the information, every single file, on behalf of these American women. These American women aren't rich, powerful elites. They do not have someone paying for their airline tickets or paying for their trips or paying for their expenses every time they try to do something to get this information out. These are your average Americans. And you want to know what the Epstein files represent? The cover-up represents to average Americans. It represents the failures of the federal government and Congress to the American people.
All right, devil, do, lady. Blue Sky version of this is you are, Blue Sky, not the website Blue Sky, just the big Blue Sky version of this is that you are right. All of the victims of this deserve justice, and all of the people who did illegal, immoral things to these young people and everything else, they deserve whatever the legal recourse is on that, and we should know that. However, what you are seemingly forgetting here is you're saying, okay, just release all of it. We just don't know what it is, right? We just don't know. We don't know, and they are going to keep some of it classified. So whatever perfect answer you're looking for at the end of this, like even if they take out 10 people, and they're not going to, but even if they do take out 10 people, like we've seen this game before, they're still going to say, well, we didn't get to the real people who are at the real end of this thing and who did coordinate all this, and because the government will say some of it's classified. So it's okay, I think you get the point. But anyway, the fight between her and Trump, it seems to me, has more to do with politics than it has to do with the Epstein thing specifically. You could see them kind of going different ways economically and on foreign policy and some other things, and there's just been a major, major fallout. Here, Trump was asked about some of the fallout related to their fallout.
And her life could be in danger because of the rhetoric?
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her. Okay, what about you?
All right, so look, we've been through this game before. Trump loves people, hates people, people turn on him. Like that's kind of like wash and recycle and rinse and do it over and over again. We've done all of that. However, I do think her defecting, now getting the love from the left. Who was it? Didn't we play a video? Was it Raskin just the other day that was like, oh yeah, we'd love to hang out with her more? Like, you could just see what's going on here. I think that in and of itself, that realignment with some of these far lefties, with some of the fringe right people, them kind of joining forces, I think that's a much bigger political story that we're probably gonna have to go through well into the midterms and beyond. But there is a fight here. And now here is Marjorie Taylor Greene implying that Donald Trump is serving foreign countries.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Okay, so that is pretty freaking damning. This thing is getting nasty. She is implying, I mean, it's not even an implication, it's outright. She's saying Donald Trump somehow is not serving the interests of the people of the United States. And, you know, there is this contingency on the right that seems to be doing that. What I would say is what I've consistently said in the last 10 months that Donald Trump has been president is we got the guy back that we all wanted. And it was pretty damn close, and he almost got killed along the way, and they tried to jail him and kick him off ballots and everything else. In 10 months, what he has done with the border is extraordinary. What's going on with the trade deals, some of the peace deals, right? 8 peace deals and more on the way. Right now, it looks like we'll get to Saudi Arabia at the end of the show, but maybe they're going to get in on the Abraham Accords. Like, the world is healing. We'll get to also deportations. And how many have happened in the last 10 months. And it's a pretty impressive number. Now Tom Homan has announced that. He has done so many things. And the implication that he is serving foreign interests or doing this for someone else, what would a more pro-America president be doing? What would it, like, it's not that we just got Trump. It's, as I always say, look at the cabinet. Do you think it's ever going to get better than this? I think this is the moment. How is it ever going to get better than having Trump as president? JD, who's doing an absolutely bang-up job as VP and can communicate the ideas that Trump does in the sort of bumper sticker version. JD can get really down and dirty in the granular stuff. And Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and Dr. Oz and Scott Bessent. And we can do this all day long. This is as Harmeet Dillon, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. It's never going to get better than this. So if this is, and look, politics is never perfect, but if this isn't good enough for you, and if you think just because you have a disagreement on him about the Middle East or anything else, then he's serving foreign interests, it's boring, it's thin, and you can see why Trump wants nothing to do with her, because Trump is actually trying to get shit done. Here's Donald Trump on Truth. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at other times in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all the victories we've had, including the great, big, beautiful bill, close borders, no men in women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, having trillions of dollars invested in the USA, having created the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the shutdown. Make America great again. It's all true. Is anything in there? I mean, he editorializes a little bit, right? But like the facts that he's laying out there are all real. And if you are just looking at this and you are on the right, or you're a conservative or a Republican or whatever any of it means anymore, and you are pissed at Donald Trump, you will never succeed. You never get exactly whatever it is that you want in your utopian world that's better than this guy, you will never get it. That is not how the world works. And it's ironically, it's the left that views the world in this utopian thing. If we could just have the perfect power, that we could have just everything we want, then everything would be great. Well, we're pretty damn close to having that on the right, and there's a set of people that want to burn it all down. There's also a bunch of crazy people on the left. And now we're going to show you a clip from MSNBC. This is where crazy people go and they just vent and then they put them back in their padded cell when they go to commercial break. Here they are blaming, of course, Trump's elections are mostly because everyone's racist and sexist.
Senate, there have been huge strides, but still no woman elected president of the U.S. Danielle, Michelle Obama's perception is actually backed up by numbers. 4 in 10 Americans say they know someone who would not vote for a woman president, according to American University. Why? Why do you think that is? And where do we go from here?
I mean, I think that we have to understand that we have deep-seated misogyny inside of this country, right? That there are things that we have seen, whether it was in the 2016 election, 2024, that America does not see women in roles of power and leadership.
You know, it's interesting, lady. I don't even care what her name is, or it doesn't matter. But, you know, Nikki Haley ran for president. You guys didn't like her because you didn't like her politics, so you took away her womanhood. When Tulsi ran as a Democrat, you guys didn't like her politics, so you took away her womanhood. I mean, we can do this all day long, right? With the people that Trump has appointed, like Linda McMahon. It's like, you guys get it. Like, they only mean, when they say women, we're for women, or feminism or something, they mean we're for Democrat women. Barack Obama just campaigned against Winsome Sears for governor, right, in Virginia, and she lost. He campaigned against a black woman. So it's not that he wants black women to be in power. He wants people who believe in his political ideology to be in power. And that's unfortunately what happens when you put ideology above truth. It's also what happens when you believe in the intersectional calculator. It's going to make you come to some really, really dumb conclusions. I was 50-50 on throwing this video in because it's rather disturbing. Do we have a trigger warning? Do we have some sort of, we don't have some, there's no button you can press, or you may remember Leslie Jones. She was an SNL actress, I guess, and then she was in the Ghostbusters remake. That, like, if you think back in the last 10 years of the internet, there's a few seminal things that kind of broke the internet, Gamergate, and also when the female Ghostbusters came out, because it sucked. And I don't think it had anything to do with that it was women. It was just shitty-ass writing. The acting was not great. It just had none of the brilliant magic whimsicalness of the original. And it really sucked. And yet all the reviews about the movie were great. So the machine wanted us all to think, my God, they've made women into Ghostbusters. It must be amazing. And all the people said it was horrible. And it was one of the first times that I think a lot of younger people that aren't maybe involved in politics realize the disconnect between mainstream media and what happens online. Anyway, she was one of the Ghostbusters in it. You know what's funny? I bought it. I bought it on Apple TV. I don't know how to delete something that you've bought. Does anyone know how to do that? Is that a thing? Like, if you buy a movie, can you delete it from your, it's stuck. Anyway. She went on Leslie Jones, she went on the Kelly Clarkson show, and she explained, well, she's a little confused why men don't want her. And, well, I guess just play the video.
I'm sick of men telling me, oh, well, you know, you hardcore. Yes, I am.
Can you handle it?
Oh, well, yeah. What you bringing to the table? I am the table. Understand why you wouldn't want a woman like me. I am successful, I'm rich, I can fight.
Right. Do men want to fuck a table? Is that what my takeaway of that is? I am the table? Does anyone find that? Oh, look at that table. Look at the, and also, and why wouldn't they want? I'm rich. Lady, like, I don't know. You seem to be threatening people. Joy Reid, a woman who was fired from MSNBC for being too crazy, she's very upset, finally, that men are in women's locker rooms, but she also doesn't want to see boobs.
There would be women walking around, I'm talking about women walking around with their boobies dangling, swinging in the breeze, and it's not even like perky boobies, just boobies drooping to their knees. They're kicking their boobies down the street and then want to walk up and have a conversation with you. And I'm like, don't walk up to me with no clothes on and talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I would be disturbed. I'm telling you, I would be alarmed. I'm alarmed enough when I see a woman with her dangling boobies. Yeah. If I saw a penis in the ladies' locker room, I would freak out too. This is nothing against trans anybody. What it's saying is, if I turn around and I see a penis in front of me inside of the room, I would probably go to management and say, wait a minute, why is there a naked man in this room? Because just the world we live in, just from a safety standpoint and just from a privacy standpoint.
So it's nothing to do with trans people. You're not against trans people, but you would prefer not to see a man with a wang with giant dangly boobs in the female locker room. Because actually, Joy Reid, that's the first time you've ever said anything that makes sense. Generally, people don't want men with wangs who have big breasts in female locker rooms. There probably are some people who want that. There's probably some men who want men with wangs with big boobs in the men's locker room. Did I put this all together right? Maybe there should just be a third locker room. Like, somebody right with you, you go in there. Like, that would actually make far more sense. I'm not even sure why what was the point of this segment other than to show, here's 10 seconds of Scott Jennings making sense as it pertains to locker rooms.
If I can't trust you not to put a boy in a teenage girl's locker room, how will I ever listen to your plan for taxes and the economy? Right. I will not, because I've already concluded you're a lunatic.
You know, if I could jump back to the Leslie Jones thing for a second, I have to say this table's looking pretty good right now. You know what I mean? People like, can we show the table? Do we have on the third angle over there? Does the table get seen at all? Look at that table. Like, I am the table. Venice AI, then we'll do some deportations. Sam Altman just announced that ChatGPT can now reference all your past conversations, every thought, question, idea you've ever shared. And with a former NSA director now on their board, Edward Snowden called it a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. We've seen this before. Alexa listens. Meta tracks everything you do. Why assume AI will be any different? And now OpenAI might even start asking for government IDs to use ChatGPT. That's where Venice.ai comes in. It gives you the power of AI without giving up your privacy. It's open source, private, and runs right in your browser. No spying, no censorship, no data collection. Your chats stay encrypted and stored only on your device. Go to venice.ai/Dave and use code Dave for 20% off a pro plan. That's venice.ai/Dave. Code Dave. Real AI, real privacy. Okay, I actually have no idea what the purpose of that segment was, other than something with chicks and dicks, and we were just like, it's the internet, let's do it. Okay, so deportations, let's get serious for a second. They actually are going quite well, and we're going to get some numbers for you in just a second. And one of the main places, obviously, that a lot of this is happening, a lot of the generalized mayhem having to do with actual legal citizens, and then it's unclear how many illegal citizens, is Chicago. We read you the numbers yesterday. Actually, only 7 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend, only 2 killed. That's pretty damn good for Chicago. Of course, it was all black on black, so nobody wants to talk about that. But putting that aside, here is Brandon Johnson, who is a true racist, right? Who literally hires people based on race in the Chicago government. He's the mayor of Chicago, which is completely illegal. And he is also fighting with Donald Trump about sending ICE to Chicago. ICE, which is just doing their job, which is taking illegals out of the country, and they shouldn't be here. But he's going to fight over it. And of course, he's going to compare it also to the Civil War.
So we know that the intentional attacks that are coming from the Trump administration and the extreme right in this country has very much been what I call it's an attempt to relitigate the Civil War. Right? They have not accepted the results that the North actually won, right? Because if you look at all of the attacks, it's not just black cities. He's going after education, housing, transportation, good paying jobs, and healthcare. Those are literally the 5 demands of descendants of slaves post-Civil War. So it's evident that they are not, committed to actually realizing the full dream of what this country can offer.
The fact that I don't know who these chicks are, but just like nodding along with that absolute drivel. Yes, Donald Trump's trying to relitigate the Civil War. The guy who, when he was president the first time around, talked about all-time low Black and Latino unemployment. And all of you guys, the progressives, including the Congressional Black Caucus, sat there like this. But, maybe I was wrong about the Civil War. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I forget things, I misremember things, et cetera. So we went to ChatGPT and we asked it, what was the Civil War? We have some information here. The Civil War was fought primarily over slavery, including its expansion into new territories and states as southern states seceded to preserve a legal and economic system dependent on enslaved labor, while the Union fought to maintain the United States and ultimately end the institution of slavery. So yes, that does sound exactly like what Donald Trump is trying to do right now. Actually, ironically, it's you guys, it's you Democrats who are demanding that we let all of these illegals in so they do the jobs that nobody else seems to want to do, which would keep them in perpetual slavery. So if you want to look at who's the modern day slave trader, it actually is you guys. But okay, let's put that there for just a second. This video is completely bananas. Like, this is the bananas video of the week. Here are a bunch of Democrat representatives, and I'm so sick of the way they edit these things. It's like, this isn't working for the internet anymore. But here's a bunch of Democrat representatives actively encouraging current members of the military to defy orders from Trump and Hegseth. This is wild. Take a look.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
You know what they did? What they didn't do in that video? They never said what the illegal orders are, because there are no illegal orders. Donald Trump is not forcing anyone illegally to do anything. The fact that they are trying to actually instigate an insurrection, right? If you want military members to stand up against the chief of the Department of War, Hegseth, and the president of the United States, Donald Trump, that kind of sounds a little insurrection-y. Why are you guys doing that? They could end up in a lot of trouble if they do that, because someone show me the illegal orders. If somebody can put that in the comments before the program is over, I will gladly read what the illegal orders that Donald Trump, what they mean is, we don't like some of the things Donald Trump is doing, and we would like to destroy his administration from the inside by having basically a bunch of soldiers turn on him. So just say what you mean. You don't have to lie about everything. Well, you're Democrats, I guess you do. Here's Chuck Schumer, of course, lying as always. We don't want or need masked ICE agents instilling fear and undermining public safety on our streets or in our schools. New York City is a proud city of immigrants, and we will stand together with our neighbors. I am so sick of this shit. I really am. Illegals. ICE is getting rid of illegals, not legals. You're right. New York City is largely a city of immigrants. And yesterday we read some numbers. What were the numbers again? Could you get it for me? It was something like 64% of first-generation immigrants in New York voted for the socialists. So there's something to talk about that. And that's talking about legals. But ICE is going after illegals. And you dingbats, I'm being nice, you dingbats in New York. I'm being nice because you have enough problems on the docket. Who elected moron Zamboni, he is now pledged not to work with ICE. So congratulations, as all of your systems fail and as the government grows and grows and grows and they make it more of a sanctuary city and the mayhem and all the chaos continues, Trump was trying to help you guys, but you have made him into the enemy. Meanwhile, what is it that the administration is doing? Well, here's Tom Homan talking about the 30,000 missing migrant children that were trafficked under Biden, who have now been found thanks to Trump.
Even 500,000 children were smuggled in this country, and they lost track of 300,000 of them. You know what President Trump has done? I was with HHS today, Jesse. We already found over 30,000 of these kids. You know, like 3 weeks ago, we're at 24,000. Now we're over 30,000. Wow. And we're going to keep working until we find every one of these kids. President Trump's saving lives every day. Most secure border in the history of the nation. Less fentanyl killing Americans. Less sex trafficking of women and children. And we're finding children that Biden administration wasn't even looking for. And we're the bad guys? It's disgusting.
30,000, that's an amazing job. And I hope it continues, because there's a lot more kids that are just living in the shadows with horrible things happening to them.
Why doesn't anyone care about those kids? 30,000 kids? That's actually unimaginable, right? 30,000 kids have been found that were illegally trafficked? Marjorie Taylor Greene, you might want to thank Trump for that. Apparently not. But meanwhile, here is Homan. This is the first time I've heard actual numbers, or at least updated numbers, on how many people we have deported in the last 10 months under Donald Trump.
650,000 deportations by the men and women of Border Patrol and ICE. That's a record. We beat the last record by a couple 100,000, and we're just getting started. We're bringing 10,000 more agents on. If you think the numbers look good this year, wait till next year, because you ain't seen shit yet. Next year is going to be amazing.
So guys, look, the country is just going in two different directions right now. One side seemingly wants chaos, seemingly doesn't care who comes here and who lives off the government teat and takes from others and all that and the violence and all the decay that comes with it. And then there's this serious side that, the irony is some people are saying, they're not doing it fast enough. The economy hasn't been fixed fast enough. The deportations haven't happened fast enough. And as I said at the top of the show, you're never going to get everything that you want the second you want it in politics, ever. It's just not a thing. It's just not how any of it works. But Tom Homan, as I've said from day one, is the guy who will play Tom Homan in the movie about Tom Homan called The Tom Homan Story for a reason. He is a qualified person to be doing the job that he is doing, and about 650,000 illegals are gone. And guess what? 0 legals. So when Jon Stewart tells you that they're throwing grandmas on the linoleum floor and they're ripping random Hispanic people out of Pollo Loco, it's just not happening. Here's a Fox reporter at an anti-ICE protest in Charlotte, because now there's been a push of ICE people in Charlotte saying that there is pushback against them.
Good evening, Jesse. We are only on day 4 of this operation, and DHS says that it has already arrested more than 200 illegal immigrants, and the operation is getting a ton of support, as DHS says that many of these people have criminal backgrounds involving things like assault, gang affiliation, drunk driving, and more. But as you can see by this protest, there is also a lot of pushback towards this immigration crackdown.
Might I offer a little advice? I usually offer advice for MSNBC hosts and CNN hosts on the terrible jobs that they're doing, but might I offer some advice to the people that are out there protesting? I want you to think for a minute. What are you protesting? Are we kicking out legal citizens of the United States? And the answer to that is no. So for some reason, you are protesting American citizens, ICE officers, who are just doing their job to make sure that America is safe and that we know who is here and that illegals aren't coming here and doing criminal acts. I mean, the act of coming here illegally is criminal in and of itself, but then doing secondary illegal acts, bringing drugs, et cetera, et cetera. But meanwhile, you guys are outside of ICE headquarters, basically LARPing as revolutionaries and throwing firecrackers and screaming about racism and all this other stuff. And it's like, these are the people that are trying to create the conditions so you can live. It's just so freaking dumb. Here's a bit more from Homan.
I'd also ask them what they have achieved. What did they achieve in LA protests and Chicago protests and Charlotte protests and New York City? What did they achieve? I'll tell you what they achieved. Every time they do this, they achieve more officers are sent to do these operations, more arrests are made, and we flood the zone with more officers. The results of all this foolishness, more arrests, more safety on the street, more ICE officers, they're not going to stop us from doing this.
Connor, can you jump back into that video and just give me a screenshot of some of those protesters there? Because, or we can just look at some of this. It's like, okay, so they have all these other flags, they're masked. Now, I'll go on the assumption that these people are legal citizens of the United States, because otherwise I don't think they would have the balls to be outside of an ICE facility, right? But where is their allegiance? Like, what, you have masks, no human is illegal. Sorry, lady. Yes, illegals are illegal. That's not racist, and that's not me being a dick. That's just a fact. So we have a secondary problem here that really nobody wants to think about. The initial problem is the illegals, but now we also have a set of people in the United States that think that the United States shouldn't have sovereign borders, that everybody should be able to come here, that you should actively and proactively protest the people who are trying to defend the country. Yes, as a legal citizen, you can protest whatever you want as long as you do it peacefully. But I'm just talking about like the mindset of someone that has everything backwards. And we are going to have to think about how to deal with that and how to deprogram some of these people. But let's put that there, because I want to focus again, as I do very easily every day, on some of other wins by the Trump administration. And it looks like some more good things are coming out of the Middle East. The Saudi Crown Prince was here in America yesterday, and listen to this from Fox News. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman arrived in Washington on Tuesday for his first White House visit in 7 years, marking a pivotal moment to rebuild U.S.-Saudi ties and strengthen a partnership that remains central to American security and energy interests. The visit comes as Trump has publicly confirmed the U.S. will sell F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia, telling reporters on Monday, "I will say that we will be doing that. We'll be selling the F-35s, a move that immediately places Israel's qualitative military edge in the region's future defense architecture at the center of the conversation. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly told Fox News Digital that President Trump looks forward to welcoming Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud to the White House, where the two leaders will participate in an official working visit. Thanks to our dealmaker in chief, the United States secured $600 billion in historic investments during President's visit to Saudi Arabia earlier this year, and Americans can expect more good deals for our country spanning technology, manufacturing, critical minerals, defense, and more. A senior administration official speaking on background told Fox News Digital that the expected agreements will include a multi-billion-dollar investment in America's AI infrastructure, enhanced cooperation on civil nuclear energy, and defense sales aimed at strengthening defense cooperation between the two countries. The official added that the visit will also focus on the fulfillment of the Saudis' $600 billion investment pledge through dozens of targeted investments across key U.S. sectors. Look, okay, so let me say this. I don't know if we can fully trust the Saudis, but Trump is good at bringing people into the fold, getting investment in the United States. Also, remember that just days, literally like the week before October 7th, 2023, everybody was saying that Saudi Arabia was about to join the Abraham Accords. And then obviously that faltered because of the subsequent war for 2+ years. Now that the war has come to a conclusion, there is every reason to think that that is going to be restarted, right? There was some other, what country was it that just jumped in the Abraham Accords a couple of days ago? No, Bahrain's been in for a while. But the point is that Saudi Arabia, if they jump in on the Abraham Accords, then them having the F-35s is not a big deal. Getting some investment from them is probably good. And again, this is just Trump doing different things. It doesn't mean everything will always work perfectly, but Biden didn't do anything close to any of this. Also, the Saudis are extremely happy that Israel took out the Iranian nukes because it was a threat to them as well. And the general mayhem of terrorism exportation that Iran was doing was a threat to them as well. Here's a quick video of Trump welcoming Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House with some fancy music. I want that song when I start the show, you know what I mean? Why are we playing our old? Well, anyway, the $600 billion investment, well, now it turns out it's going to be closer to a trillion with a T. Take a look.
But today it's a very important time in our history because there is also a lot of things that we're working in the future. We believe in the future of the United States of America. We believe in what you're doing, Mr. President, is really creating a lot of good things and good foundation to create more economic growth, more business in America. We are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the $600 billion will be $1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that. And
I like that very much.
Go ahead.
Okay, so again, look, I don't know if you could trust these guys completely, and are there risks taking so much investment from a foreign country as it relates to AI or any of these things? I'm not exactly sure where that all falls out, but thinking about these things differently and starting to do deals, economic deals with countries. The more economic deals there are between countries, the more lubrication there is in the system. So then they are less inclined to start fighting and warring and use terrorism and all of these things, right? Like if you have investments here, maybe you're just like, you know what, maybe I won't piss off America by doing this over here. Now that doesn't mean that they're great and how they treat women and all of the minorities, et cetera, et cetera. But like it just, as I keep saying, as I said at the top, like you don't get everything you want at once. So I think that this is largely pretty good and we shall see. Here's a bit more from Trump on Truth. Investment in AI is helping to make the U.S. economy the hottest in the world, but over-regulation by the states is threatening to undermine this growth engine. Some states are even trying to embed DEI ideology into AI models, producing woke AI. Remember Black George Washington? We must have one federal standard instead of a patchwork of 50 state regulatory regimes. We can do this in a way that protects children and prevents censorship. So look, this is going to be a fight that's going to be on the horizon, right? How are we going to regulate AI? Can you even regulate AI? And to whatever extent we can do it in the United States, that to whatever extent it even should be regulated, right? because God only knows the things that they're going to be able to do with AI. We may regulate it in some way here, but that's going to be very different than what they're going to do with it in China or in Russia or in other countries. It's sort of like it's like human cloning. It's like we can have all our regulations around it that we want. It's not going to stop other countries from doing it, and that's what I would say an ongoing battle over scientific advancement will continue to be about. One thing real quick, I think, do we have pictures or video on this? Just two pictures at the dinner last night. You can see there's Ronaldo, soccer player, there's Elon Musk. So Trump is bringing in all of these people. Again, as I said earlier, it's like, how much better do you think it's going to be? Like the alliances, putting old fights aside, the Elon Trump stuff, like, yeah, it's pretty good. And here's just a bit more on that. Here's Trump announcing a bit more on the military side of the deal with Saudi Arabia.
But when you really think about it, Your Majesty, I think that this is the best in terms of safety. Saudi Arabia has never been as safe as it is right now. You always had a little cloud over your head, and sometimes that cloud was very big. That cloud is not there anymore, and we want to keep it that way. So that's why tonight I'm pleased to announce that we're taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally, which is something that is very important to them. And I'm just telling you now for the first time because I wanted to keep a little secret for tonight. I just heard him say, "Oh, that's nice." That's another point you won today. And signing a historic strategic defense agreement, which we just signed a little while ago. So congratulations. It's out there.
So, like, to me, that's the best of Trump. First off, he did it as a surprise, but major non-NATO ally, that we're going to have some strategic and new military cooperation with them. And again, whether you trust these guys completely, whether you think that their culture is different than ours and we can't trust, whatever that might be, once you start doing business together, you're teaming your militaries together, all of these things, there is generally going to be less friction in the system. That is how you bring in, you don't make peace, not that we've been at war with Saudi Arabia, but you don't make peace with everyone that you completely agree with on everything. Trump is a master of being like, oh, people want a more prosperous future. People don't want war all the time and everything else. And he's doing that. And that also, to get to another part of the theme of the show today, for these people on the right that are going after Trump all the time on all of the foreign policy stuff and everything else, it's like, how about focus on the wins for the day? Am I wrong on all of this? Like, show me the other version of this, why this is all absolutely terrible. And I just don't know, I simply don't know what it is. But I wanted to end the show on something slightly different, which is that this is not going to last forever. We are now, basically less than a year away, almost a year, yeah. It's basically about 350 days away from the midterms. And there's every reason to think that the Republicans will lose the House in the midterms because the incumbent president, generally his party gets whacked in the midterms. That's just kind of how it is. It has more to do with human psychology than politics, probably. You just want to punish the person in power all the time. And Trump will not be here forever. And we're going to have to start thinking about the future at some point. And one of the things that I think is great is that the bench on the Republican side is really, really deep. And I think there is going to be a fight. I don't think JD's just going to be anointed or anything else, but I think that will be healthy. It will be a battle of ideas, which is good. I thought this was interesting from Polymarket. Who will be the Republican presidential nominee in 2028? 55% say JD, 8% say Marco, but there are going to be plenty of other people involved. Here is Governor DeSantis from the free state of Florida, on with Jake Tapper. That doesn't happen very often. Asked about if he's considering running.
Fathers did not put in term limits for the president either, but they were added after FDR. President Trump faces those term limits. He is not going to be able to run for re-election in 2028. Are you thinking of maybe running?
I'm not thinking about anything because I think we have a president now who's not even been in for a year. We've got a lot that we've got to accomplish. I'm obviously working hard to continue to put plates on the board in Florida, but look at the election results 2 weeks ago for Republicans. That was not good. We've got to do a good job as Republicans, and I think that should be the number one priority. And the way you do well in the midterm elections is to produce positive results. And so I would focus on that. This jockeying and all that, I don't think is productive for us. Get things done for people. We showed in Florida, when I came in, we were a purple state. Now we're considered a red state because we produce results and people follow it.
All right.
So before I even comment on that, I want to show you the last video because it's not just DeSantis that could potentially get in. Again, getting to a deep bench situation. Now a lot of people are saying Ted Cruz may try it again. Take a look at this.
Some news. Axios led its morning newsletter with this headline, Scoop.
Cruz-I's 2028 run. Senator Cruz, where are you on that?
You know, reporters are going to write headlines that get clicks and get eyeballs. I got a job. It's representing 31 million Texans, and it's fighting every day for 31 million Texans. And I'll tell you right now, the wins we are getting are historic. The one big beautiful bill you were talking about just a minute ago, I was blessed to write major portions of that.
Okay, so you guys know I don't love like racehorse politics, and it's early and everything else. But the reason I wanted to end on this on the show today is because there's tons and tons of wins coming out of this administration. But even if all that went poof tomorrow, Donald Trump fell down the stairs, it's like, what will happen with the Republicans? So imagine now a debate stage for the Republicans rolling into the next presidential election. Imagine you have JD up there, you have Ron DeSantis up there, you have Ted Cruz up there, you have Marco Rubio up there, you have Tulsi Gabbard up there, maybe Bobby Kennedy jumps on as a Republican. Like, we could add a couple other people, throw in a reality star and a YouTuber. And it's like that any of those people that I just mentioned, particularly DeSantis, JD, Rubio, Tulsi, Cruz, Hegseth, any of them could be president and we'd have a functional system again. So for all of the people doing all of the fighting right now and trying to burn everything down and take out Trump and all of that, it's like, guys, enough. Like, somebody said we have a country to save, and I agree with that guy. It was Larry Elder. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Post-game show, RubinReport.locals.com in 30 seconds. Ciao.